Stan Barrett, HSU Vice President. Start when you're ready.
The Vice President role, as we all know, is the same as the uni's goal to make Heathrow grow. All the meetings as a student governor are for the student lives and the honour. So to properly help us students, we need VP with fresh improvements. And that will put in the extra work at meetings without being a jerk. To the students or to the uni staff, someone to really fight on your behalf. In a way which your voice is truly heard and your dreams can fly like a bird. All this effective communication without any care for adulation, but simply working head down so that this place doesn't get run down. We need to look around us and expand, work with you, hand in hand, for facilities, events, societies, better in size and varieties, involve Fordham, Richmond, Imperial, as well as the horse intercollegials, without of course forgetting the Heathrow spirit, but simply broadening uni life's limits. Because I feel that looking around us would give up events a big plus, especially since we won't have BA freshers, and now even a 5 people turnout seems precious. Furthermore, we ought to improve the JCR in order to make proper use of the bar. More atmospheric lights, walls and furniture, it's possible without too much expenditure. And able to make this space an amazing evening drinks place. Maybe pub wooden tables, like the one outside, although it's up to you to decide. And maybe at the end here, I have an idea for you to endear any evening if you give it a chance, a space for us to dance. Especially music events, example reggae nights. This place would be awesome with some different lights. Now, to counter any possible fear of what to do after 3rd year, I believe to continue the workshops in place to make any doubt without a trace. These workshops where professionals have come in show this is where your future lives begin. So it helps to hear how they feel about specific careers appeal, in order to shape better the view of what in life you want to do. But why stop there? We can do more. Invite alumni that have lived here before, or ex-Heathrowcans taking law conversions who would provide useful conversations. This is already a feature that is present, and my feeling to enhance it is clearly meant. I'm not sure if that was a rhyme, but who cares, I'm running out of time. We should also enhance the vicinity between BA students and those of divinity. This year I have seen that they're really cool, and if we don't integrate them, we'd be a fool. So we should ask them to help at language courses, to do fun activities and join our forces. You've all met Cisco. He's well hot. You'd want him as a buddy, would you not? Seriously speaking though, it would be insightful to hear their experiences, it would be delightful. I feel I could help people in Erasmus too. I've moved countries. Déjà vu. I could support this choice you've done. I have Erasmus connections. I'm dating one. And finally, I feel I ought to speak of how I think communication here is weak. More people should get involved, whoop whoop, in the uni activities for Focus Group. What about course reps? Could they not come along to Tox's meetings? Is that wrong? Communication like this will help us change Heathrow and give us a wider range of opportunities for us to flourish, only with a VP who has the courage to speak up for what is right and be ready to freaking fight. For us students and for this institution, a vice president with smart solutions. I want to be that in this place I adore, so if I wasn't clear, please ask me more. So, I just want to say this rhyme, to see on your face a nice big smile. In the end, it's not what it's all about. And with that, I thank you. Stepping out.
Thank you very much, candidate. With rhyme in tow and 10 seconds to spare, that was Stefan Barrett for HSU Vice President. I now invite Stephanie Brown, who's also running for HSU Vice President, to the stage.
Thank you, Alex. I'm sorry this doesn't rhyme. Good evening, Heathrow. Most of you know me, but for those of you who don't, I'm Steph. I'm a second-year PRE student. I'm 23 years old. I'm a survivor of the 2014 Legionella crisis, and I am running for Heathrow Vice President. I'm running for Vice President for several reasons, most of which I outline in my manifesto, and I'm not just going to spit my manifesto at you tonight. What I am going to say is that I decided to run for VP because I couldn't imagine anyone who would run who cares as much or as deeply as I do about our brilliant but bizarre university. In the 2 years I've been at Heathrop, I've been an active member of the student body through involvement in societies, and this year I ran one society and co-ran another. I also recently represented Heathrop at an NUS conference where I successfully lobbied the current union, not only to secure my delegate place, but the delegate places of 2 fellow Heathrop students. I also gave a speech to hundreds of fellow delegates where I called for closer attention to be paid for small and specialist institutions like us. I can assure you that as VP I will fight for our voices to be heard both on a local and national level, so that we, for the last lot of undergraduates from the University of London Heathrop College, are fully supported into the future. I've also been heavily involved in student activism for several years, and I'm a vocal advocate of the free education movement. If my activism has taught me anything, it's that when the going gets tough, it's the smallest groups with the most hearts that really thrive, and nowhere has more heart than Heathrop. We've faced a lot of student apathy this year. It was to be expected. As your Vice President, I will combat this, not through surveys or emails, but good old-fashioned engagement and action. 2 things I've been known for in my time here. Next year, it's basically just us. I've heard people say this a lot recently in a negative way, and Heathrop's lost year is a loss that we've all felt. But there's a positive spin on this. We know what doesn't work, but we know what we like. It is just us. You need to elect a candidate with strong ideas about how to benefit us, but it takes more than just ideas. I am the only candidate who knows properly how to translate those ideas into hard work and results. My plans for the common room stretch far beyond the superficial, although I am a firm believer in the power of lamps and rugs. We're not a cookie-cutter university, and we don't deserve a cookie-cutter common room. I'm already in talks with several local libraries about book lending and book donation schemes so that we can have more reading options in our free time here. I also want to make it easier for you to utilise the common room, improving the booking system and giving societies and students priority over what happens in our space. I want to bring in speakers and academics that talk about what interests us. I want to ensure that as much union resources as possible are available to students. Whatever you want to put on, I will support you. I also want to take advantage of the powerful connections I've made nationally and with the University of London to include Heathrop as much as I can in the wider discussion and expand on our involvement in the University of London. As long as we still have these ties, they're worth taking advantage of. Now more than ever, it's imperative that our union is well trained in order to be efficient and effective. As your VP, I will ensure that all union members undergo appropriate professional training. What's more than this training will be available to any student who wants it. Undergraduate, postgraduate, divinity, I'm here for every student. I recognise the best possible way I can represent you is to be as accessible as I can. I'm already around a lot, but as your VP, I will commit to being even more visible around campus, with both extended office hours and regular informal surgeries in the common room. I don't want to email you to death, I want to talk to you and I want to hear from you so that I can provide all you need. Lastly, I just want to say I love Heathrop and I'm passionate about ensuring that we have the best possible time that we can while we're all still here. I will make the union interaction more accessible, I will improve our facilities, and I will strive to ensure the future of all Heathrop students. I want to give you the Heathrop that you deserve. Elect me and I will work towards making this the best year yet. Thank you very much.
That, with 10 seconds to spare again, was Stephanie Brown for HSU Vice President. And here is Mr. Dan Tobin, also running for HSU Vice President. Dan, you have 4 minutes from when you first begin.
About a year ago, I was gearing up for my A-level exams, preparing to take the next step on my personal journey, a step that would carry me forward into this institution, our college. Heathrop was the first uni I visited, and from that moment on, there were no other contenders for me. I fell in love at first sight. While I visited other universities, none could compare with the feeling I had when I first walked through these doors. From that instant, I knew Heathrop was the place for me. The personal development I've experienced over the past year has only heightened that feeling. Without Heathrop, I doubt that I'd be on the path I am now, in the process of becoming the person that I want to be. This is a feeling I'm sure I share with many of you. But this path, this road we are on to becoming ourselves, is in danger. The up-in-the-air nature of the future of the college, the uncertainty that clouds the coming years, unsettles us all. This doubt has produced a sense of apathy, of indifference. We seem to be less interested in participating in events and less interested in being active in union issues. But I say, no more. I will not stand by and watch as our remaining time at this university slips away without our seizing it and making the most of it. For this reason, I feel it necessary to run for the position of Vice President so I can have an active role in ensuring that this uncertainty does not diminish the feeling that we share, the belief we have in ourselves and in our college. I'm in no doubt that you're asking yourselves, why exactly should you vote for me? I'm only a first year after all. What do I know about Heathrow? Much less about running a union. With respect to the first point, I know that Heathrow is a home to many. I know that it is home to our friends, I know that it is home to our education, and I know that it is home to our futures. So, while Heathrow is undergoing some serious changes, by no means does this entail that our experience will be tarnished or harmed in any way. In terms of the second point, I have a wealth of experience in elected office that pertains to my holding the Vice President's role. For example, last year I was elected head boy of my sixth form and the large school to which it was attached. In that capacity, I represented the student body on many occasions, such as to the governing body, the educational board, and the local mayor's office. Furthermore, I was heavily involved in organising the senior ball, which outsold many previous years. I was heavily involved in charity fundraising. The skills I've gained lend themselves to the vice presidential role, and I'm very keen to apply them. To this end, I've constructed a 12-point plan laid out in my manifesto. I can't elaborate on all of them here, but I can explain some that I consider to be most important. First, I serve as your Vice President, acting as a contact point between you, the students, and the management, by holding drop-in sessions, which combined with my plans of frequent polls and surveys, allow for us to represent you in the most accurate way. Secondly, I propose a policy to reinvigorate Heathrow's many societies and clubs, to ensure the unsure nature of next year doesn't affect our student experience. As many of you may have noticed, several Heathrow societies have undergone a severe drop in attendance. By coordinating the top C, reaching out to the unis such as Richmond and Fordham, and tackling student apathy, we can make these societies great once again. Finally, I aim to actively support student interests by being an active member of many student causes, ensuring that the union is in full support of all of its members. Examples this year include the library sit-in, the Line the Path protest, the many welfare events such as the Sexual Health Quiz and the Mental Awareness Week. I'll also work closely with the chaplaincy, the Student Support Service, Student Development Office, and the male and female welfare officers to ensure that students know there is a support network in place for them if they so need it. I'll end with a quote. There are two types of vice president, doormats and matadors. One is passive and ineffective, whereas the other is strong, decisive, and takes an active role in shaping the situation around them. I fully intend to be the latter if elected. I'll actually serve as your representative on the various bodies in which the President and Vice President sit. I'll work with the union to provide events that will ensure our student experience is not affected by the changes our college is going through. I will launch proactive campaigns to support students over the coming year, as well as supporting your own campaigns and endeavours. Therefore, a vote for me is a vote for fair and accurate representation, a protected and enhanced student experience, and a supportive and proactive union. The question it all boils down to is this: do you want a doormat or a matador? I'm open for questions later, but it's time for me. Thanks.
With 20 seconds to spare, that was Daniel Tobin for HSU Vice President. Let's give our Vice Presidential candidates a little round of applause. We've had poems, table banging, activism, we've had construction. It seems like we've got it all, and I really do think this is a very difficult decision to make. So I hope you've all memorised your questions for after the next lot of speeches when you'll have the chance to answer them. Now I would like to ask Mr. Oliver Holdsworth to approach the podium, and Oliver is running for HSU President, a position which is substantially paid by your tuition fees.
Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Heathropians, I'm going to talk about three things today, right? I'm going to tell you why I'm going to represent you incredibly well and why I want to do that. I'm going to talk about my experience as a whole, and then I'm going to go on and talk about the student experience and what I can do for that. And then finally, I want to say a few comments in terms of what I can do academically for this college, because I think that's a really important thing. And I look forward to working with the academic welfare, the academic affairs officers, whoever they may be. So firstly, let me tell you about representation. I think I have pretty good I think I'm on pretty good terms, first with a large number of students. I try and strive to be approachable. I'll obviously continue to do this throughout my presidency. I've already, for those of you who didn't manage to see me in the interview that preceded this speech, I talked a little bit there, and I apologise for repeating myself from those who were there, but I talked a little bit how I appreciate this office isn't going to be just a 2-day-a-week role. Obviously in the summer I'll be working full-time, but also even when I go beyond that, even when the academic year starts, I still want to make sure that I will be available there for you as much as I possibly can. So, why am I good for this? Firstly, I run a lot of societies, right, okay? That gives me a lot of experience in terms of trying to muster up people to come to events. I've run several reasonably successful events. One of these events was the Heathrow Mini at the start of this year. For those of you who don't remember, it brought over 40 students from different universities to Heathrow College. It very much put us on the map, and it made an impact, and a number of those people have gone on to turn up to further events, for instance the public debate, and indeed the Why Should You Vote thing run by the HSU, both reasonably cool campaigns, both reasonably well attended, both ultimately in which I had a reasonably strong role in. Let me tell you a bit about my experience then. I've told you about the events. I also run the Logic Society, and I was the University of London Union Treasurer. What does this mean? Why does that matter to you? Well, firstly, I want greater integration with the University of London Union as a whole, and that's sort of what I'm pushing for as hard as I possibly can. I have dealings with the upper echelons of Student Central. The bureaucracy there is absolutely horrendous. I cannot begin to tell you how bad it is. And that's why I think I'm pretty well prepared for Heathrow bureaucracy as well, because generally these things tend to always be absolutely awful. So I do have experience on unions. I want to introduce more integration with ULU, with KCL and UCL. I think I'll be in a unique position to be able to do this because we're going to have more people who are going to come in through the college and stay in Alban Halls. This is really fantastic because it means that I'll be able to, if I go to KCL and say, hey, why don't you let some of our freshers go to your, or why don't you let some of our students go to one of your events, we actually have something substantive, i.e. we're providing a service for your students as well in terms of letting them integrate with our students, integrate with our societies and such. So let me talk a little bit about the academic side of things. I think I have a minute left. So firstly, one of the things I pushed for in my manifesto, and I apologize to those of you who have read it, some of this will be a little repetitive, but at least I'm not going to carve it in a large stone tablet. So firstly, maths. I think a lot of student jobs call for you having some kind of mathematics ability. There are often graduate schemes ask for you to do a maths test. That's why I pushed in my manifesto to have the ability for maths lessons to be opened up to the students alongside the current language lessons that we also have. It's interesting to note, however, that since I published that manifesto, in a meeting involving basically TOPSY, who are the people who basically, TOPSY have expressed interest in following this through and also providing money. This shows that I'm in line with the students' wants, in line with the students' needs. Hopefully I'll be able to do that. I've also spoken with academics, such as the teaching assistants. In the running of the Logic Society, I was a member, I had to coordinate with Alex Douglas, and we managed to have a lecturers deal with this. So ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, I have experience speaking to the teaching assistants, I've experience teaching to the academics. I am in a fantastic position to be able to negotiate the best
Candidate! Time! For HSU President. What's the HSU President? Got time next. The HSU President. And this is Jenny Moran running for HSU President. Jenny, you have 4 minutes from first. Yeah.
It would be all too easy to lie to you right now about the situation the college is in. This year we've seen the future of Heathrow turned upside down, and I believe we are allowed to be angry. We are allowed to want a Heathrow to have a future that maybe upstairs don't want us to want. And that vision we have must be represented and led by a strong, passionate and informed person, and I believe that should be me. My passion and love for Heathrow has grown significantly throughout this year. My experience as Academic Affairs Officer and as a member of the executive in general has motivated me to want to become President. I've seen the workings of the college and the plans for the future, and I want to make sure that the student views and enthusiasm to keep Heathrow as possible is not only represented but fought for. You do not need someone who will give into committees and boards or who will and ah about decisions to make, but someone who knows what you want and will make sure it will happen. I've had great experience as Academic Affairs Officer on meetings and boards where I've already done part of the job and represented what you want for the future and also what you want for now. I've co-chaired undergraduate student staff liaison committee with the programme reps and also managed a good team of programme reps who've done really well this year. I've had a lot of plagiarism cases and essays being remarked that I've had to deal with, and they've all successfully been resolved. I've also made a good working relationship with staff such as Catherine Powell, Sean Ryan and Nadeem, and I think that would be a great help for next year because these are the people that have a big say in the decisions that are going to be made. I've also had a large role on TOPSY as the only full-time student, where they've come up with a large case of proposals that have gone through to the Finance Committee, which are currently being debated, that will enhance your student experience, such as volunteering roles that will be reduced price for you, finding internships and different courses for you to apply for. I've also been the Secretary of the Union, which means that I have not only been very much involved with the Union this year, but also have taken the minutes and have distributed the minutes. So, as in the job role, I've already done that and I have a lot of experience of it. And also being a general officer, you'll have seen me at events, you'll have seen me in the basement constantly around college. I know what has worked for this union and what hasn't, and I want to improve it for next year and make sure that your views are represented and you have the best year that you can possibly have. My posters and manifesto have been around college, and hopefully you'll know a bit about what I want to do. I want to keep you as informed as possible on the future of Heathrow, and one of the things I think have gone wrong this year has been how college has directly liaised with you. The meetings with Michael Holman, no one was impressed by, and I think a better format for this needs to be found. I'll fully endorse Topsy and help implement their proposals, and also find a direct way for you to contact me, whether this through meetings or polls online or through the website, and also just office hours coming to chat to me. I think that's the most important. Events-wise, I think we need to do a lot more events that people want and that we know people want. And also, Heathrow Goes was, I think, implemented by Matt a few years ago, where we just get a big group of students, go somewhere and have a good time. And I think that will make the atmosphere around college a lot more enjoyable. Okay, thank you. I have the experience that this needs for this job, and I hope that you vote for me and vote for the right candidate.
Now I'm going to open up the floor to questions just before I let you have a quick drinks break, because I know how well politics and drink go together. And just before I let you guys do that, let's give all these candidates a round of applause.